Thank you so much. I feel privileged to be here. This is my first time at Academia Engelberg, and I'm really grateful for the organizers and very thankful for Actis organization for inviting me to participate. And actually, what I want to say is I was astonished by Sister Dr. Leah's presentation and seeing all her accomplishments, all the services she has provided. And you can see she is only an individual. All what she has done came from her noble intentions. And so it's an act or a movement that is created by a single individual. So you can imagine how if a group of people, for example, like yourselves, coming from an academic background, or my colleague, the young scientist, could actually come out of this place with concrete conclusions and recommendation which can help us to actually elevate violence in many different regions of the world. You have very valuable output. Of what I've seen from your presentations, actually, you can contribute a lot to where I come from. I'll start my presentation. Actually, I'm going to talk about violence against women in my society. I come from the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan. Jordan is actually ruled by His Majesty King Abdullah II. The population is about 6 million. Actually, about 60% of the population in Jordan are youth, below 24 years old. The problem is our major challenges in the region, as you all know, is that regional conflict. We suffer also from poverty. We suffer from unemployment, limited natural resources, and water scarcity. What I also want to say, actually, something is that on the opening of, I noticed in the professor's Kurt speech, actually it was great. I loved it, really. It was, I mean, you happen to combine the different aspects of the causes of violence from an academic point of view, but there is a certain comment that you have mentioned that I actually disagree with. You said, and you said it twice, you said that the two terrorists or suicide bombers, they do what they do because they want to appear on the map. They want to, and this is absolutely not true. I am a Palestinian. I was originally born in Jerusalem, and I have opened my eyes to this world to see so much pain, so much suffering of my people. I saw so much blood, so much killing. You cannot imagine, actually, and I feel surprised how much the truth is. The truth is distorted, actually. How much is the media manipulated? It's unbelievable. The amount of violence, if you want to know what violence is, please just come and visit our region. The amount of, what he says actually is, it's the minimum which any person who is violated in his own land, in his own home, being kicked out, and his family members, they kick the whole family out of their homes, and they destroy your home in front of your eyes, and they bury people alive. Until now, there are thousands and thousands of prisoners in the jails, and you don't expect them to do anything. Isn't it the minimum right of a person to fight for his rights? The minimum rights. We have been fighting, by stones, against weapons, against bulldozers. It's unbelievable, really, it's unbelievable. And
just to remind you, it was a quote from a terrorist. It was not mine.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, but I just wanna make just to transfer to you what is actually in my region, what is really happening in my region, and this is the minimum right. And in scientific research, or Newton's third law says that for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. So it's normal for a person to fight back for his rights, and this is absolutely wrong to say that he's a terrorist fighting for his rights. I'm going to move to. Actually concentrate on the most important thing. Violence against women in Jordan. Actually, as you all know, no country is free from violence, and also women in the Arab and Muslim society do suffer from some kinds of violence, like domestic violence, gender-based violence, and sexual violence. A certain study was conducted in 2008, concluded that 1/3 of the sample population have said that they have seen or heard cases of violence. 11% of them, they said that they have personally abused their also daughters or wives, either verbally or physically. And 60 or 40% of them, they have said that they have verbally and physically abused their family members. We have other thing which is called, if you have heard about it, honor crimes. Honor crimes actually is when a young woman has an open relationship with a man outside of marriage. In our society, it's not acceptable. And what happens actually when her family members, like her father or her brother, knows about it, she could be killed for this. A study in Jordan indicates that 13 cases of honor killings happens every year, and another study conducted on 102 cases shows that 60% of these perpetrators were actually poor men, and 70% of the women were also poor. 90% of the men also didn't have any high school certificate. What I also like to point out to is that this behavior goes back to a very old era. Actually, it started before Islam, where women were very badly treated. They were actually regarded by their parents as they are a threat to the family's honor, and they were subjected to be killed or be buried as infants. And also when they were adults, they were bought and sold like any commodity. And also many of these crimes happened without any legal proof for it. Another type of violence is in Jordan. Actually, we have a significant number of migrant women workers. They come from Indonesia, from Malaysia, from Philippines, and they work as homemaids. And they are subjected actually to several kinds of violence, such as withholding their passports by their employees, or having so much workload, insufficient food. They are subjected also to physical or psychological or verbal abuse. And in Jordan, we don't have the sex trafficking. We don't have this type of violence. Another type of violence, which is called structural violence, we can consider gender discrimination and gender gap a kind of structural violence, which is actually invisible. And it's like it's defined as an unequal access to resources or to education or to economy or to politics, etc. In Jordan, if you can see from this shape, as you go away from the center, you can reach equality, and if you're near to the center, you are unequal. The blue line represents Jordan's situation, and the black line represents the average sample of other countries. Jordan actually has happened to close its gender gaps in education and in health, so it's doing good in education and health, but in economy and politics, we have a problem. In economy, for example, it was found the labor force for women was half of its potential, and in the decision-making participation for women, it was found that Jordan actually is 16% lower than the global average. Now, why is this happening? The impediments for economic and political participation of women are, for example, the mismatch between the available skills and the available jobs. Second, and it's important here, it's the gender roles and social norms, which tend in our society to preference the large families, and this it contributes to high fertility rates. So women, most of the time, are pregnant. They should take care of their children. They don't have time to go to work. Other reasons like labor, pensions, and social security rules, which provide less benefits to women than they do for men. And for example, men can pass their pensions to their families after their death, but women cannot. Of course, causes of violence, or which other presenters has already said that they are violence in themselves. It's everywhere the same: poverty, gender discrimination, unemployment, lack of proper education, and age-old mindsets and conservative attitudes are reasons of these types of violence. Initiatives taken to eradicate. For example, we have UNIFEM, which is the United Nations Funds for Women, working with the Ministry of Labor to establish a hotline, for example, for migrant women workers in order to receive their complaints. And they have also worked to promote a code of ethics to the agencies which bring these working migrant women. Other types of projects in Jordan, which helps to empower women actually, and give them, help them to gain new skills so they can contribute to Jordanian's economy. And it helps. What we benefit from these types of projects, if you can see here, women's from Bedouin women are weaving, doing rug weaving. These type of projects actually has helped a lot women to say stop it. If they have suffered any kind of violence, any kind of suffering or pain from their husbands long time ago, they couldn't say nothing. They just sat down at home, and because they had no alternative, they had no other they said to themselves, if we leave, where can we go? There is no place where we can go. We don't have any money. But now with these skills, they can just say, it's enough, I cannot take it. I can find a new job, and I can live a decent life. This is just some pictures showing women in Jordan participating in politics. This is the Minister of Planning and International Cooperation now in 2009. And we have many women actually working as police officers in traffic. I'm going to end by something that I'm a Muslim, and some people considers religion as a factor which may urge for violence. And this is because unfortunately, certain men chooses to verify and justify their attitudes through interpreting the Holy Scripture in a very wrong way. But of course, I'm opposing this, and I believe that God has brought religion, not only Islam, but all, of course, because all religions, I believe, have the same messages. So the religion helps us as human beings to evolve, to advance, to understand each other, to respect each other. And following this, we have, of course, in Islam, men and women are both the same. We have in chapter 3, God says, verse 195, "Never will I allow to be lost the work of any of you, be he male or female. You are members one of another." And we have a whole chapter called Women's Chapter, which mentions women's rights and which says that men are the protectors and providers of women, and that they have to go to work in order to feed women, clothe them, shelter them, safeguard them. And women, they don't have to work. If they do, they can, but it's not a must. And if they do make money, they get to keep it all to themselves. And we have a saying from our Prophet, peace be upon him. He says, "It is a generous in character who is good to women, and it is the wicked who insult them." And he, peace be upon him, he also says, "The best of you are those who are the best to their wives." Thank you.
So we have a few minutes for discussion. Thank you very much for your deeply committed and very optimistic presentation. I don't know if you have any comments to her reflections. Otherwise, I would go to the public.
No, I like very much her, also her engagement for her people. I was inviting once Dr. Maklouf, also a Palestinian, to Germany because I thought it was during the Beirut war. I thought we are really not good informed in Germany. We are one-sided informed. We are only the side of the Jewish people. We don't hear the side of Palestinian people. And I understand, but I also think we can never react with violence against violence. It will never end. So it has to be at a certain point cut and start anew with understanding and with looking at each other carefully.
Thank you very much for your contributions. I have a very short technical question to Sister Leah. How do you counter-check the narratives of the women that seek contact to you? We have some experience in the academic field with people coming from Africa with completely prefabricated biographies just to get a visum for Switzerland.
I don't know if I understood quite rightly your question. A lot of women who come to our place have some problems with illegality. They have no papers because normally the traffickers take their papers away. That is one of the problems we have when they come to us. How they come to us? Normally, when the police make a raid in Brussels, they discover the women, and then when the police is good motivated and he thinks that this woman perhaps is a victim, then she comes to us. And we have a cooperation arrangement with police, that when they make a raid, we are also with them by side and so on. And also we get them by other women we have helped, and we get them sometimes by themselves.
The question was more in,
Was it right?
Are you checking on the truthfulness of the stories?
Oh,
That,
yes.
So just if you can
yes.
just...
And in the beginning I thought I have a better feeling for African people because I lived there, but I never was in Eastern countries. So I was now 10 times. Each year I'm in the Eastern country to meet and to see also some of the families we have women. So I have seen the women, the families, and I have seen that's true what they are telling us.
Thank you. I don't see any more questions. Yes? Okay. And then you, okay?
You mentioned a Solgidi organization for girls of prostitutes.
Yeah.
Now, I have just to ask the question there, why not for all children of prostitutes, also for boys?
Yeah. You see, that is a good question. But sometimes when the woman is prostitute and she gets in these poor areas, also the client in their house, the girls are very much in danger, much more than the boys. But we also think of the boys, and there is a brother, and he cares for the boys. So twice a month, we invite the mother and the children, boys and girls, and they are cared by, the boys have their own organization, and the girls have the organization we care for.
Actually, I have a question to Nuwar. How is in Jordan? Do you realize some kind of change in the younger generation? Are the young male have another attitude, behavior towards women in general?
Yes, definitely. They are much more open-minded. It's different because now of the globalization, so they are open to different cultures, and yes, it's different than a long time ago. Yes. But still, the community in general, if you visit us in Jordan, is so much influenced by religion. It's in general, it's conservative. As I have mentioned in my presentation, in our culture, it's not acceptable. Also, we have, Christians and Muslims living in Jordan. It's not acceptable to both to have open relationships in society. If there is someone, it's okay to have, to be in a relationship with someone or to love someone, but it should be clear in front of all people and through legal engagement and marriage.
We take 3 last questions. One is there, there. Thank you.
Yes, so I find myself once again playing the part of the devil's advocate, and my question is to Sister Leah Ackerman. I wonder whether, or what do you think of the work and the arguments by Laura Maria Augustine, who criticized certain generalizations over all kinds of prostitution and said that these generalizations are, in the end, a betrayal of the genuine feminist ideal, which aims at giving women the opportunity to make choices on their own, and even choices that might turn out to be the wrong ones.
We have made a campaign about prostitution in Germany, and as I told you, my heart is inside the Swedish law, but in Germany, as it is not possible, we said, if in Germany we say a prostitute who says, I make it freely as my profession, please let her free, then nobody can walk in. Everybody who then profits of this girl in saying how she had to do it, with whom she had to do it, to profit of the when she rent a house or something. So we said, a woman would say it, that is my profession, I do it freely, then she must have the right to do it absolutely free, so that finally we can punish all these people who organize it, who profit of them, because in reality, the women don't earn very much money. There are a few who earn money, but all, to see really the situation of the women, we have a new project in one town, it's called Lilia. There are 2 women from Eastern countries who speak and have made social work in Germany. They go for street work in a street where brothels are and where the prostitutes are. There is, in some towns, there is a whole street like that. So they go and they have asked the owner of the brothels that she could help the women when they have some problems in hygienic, in health, and so on. So all one has permitted that the women come in and speak with the women, with the prostitutes. But then now they are 4 months in it and accepted. One of the bordel owners said, oh, 90% of them are not free here. So they know that these girls are not free, but all the same, they earn a lot of money with them. So, and these 2 ladies go in and have talks with them. Now they discovered that in each room, they can speak with the girls. There are cameras. So the girls are not free at all to speak to them. And even in the streets, if they walk in the street, there is always with one of the women a second who watched them. This being free is not so real. But we say, take this real now, because our legislation is like that, but then be consequent.
And you're fighting against force, so I understand that.
Yeah.
So we have 2 last questions there.
Just one short question. You said Just one short question for Sister Leah. You said, if I understand you correctly, that you sent out the publication to judges and policemen.
Yeah.
What kind of reactions did you get?
Oh, they are, some are, who are open, they are very pleased. We have here also a trauma leitfaden for traumatized. Most of the women are traumatized. How to tackle them, huh? Not how to care, how the police may be careful with them because they are traumatized, and not when they will not give any answer, to understand why they react like they react and so on. No, a lot of policemen, they are also angry about our system of right, our justice, because the ones who are good motivated, they have a lot of trouble and a lot of work with that, and finally, in the court cases, they are nearly not punished. So the police also is frustrated.
Okay. Thank you very much. You see, if you look at your watches, I'm running a race against time because we have a fixed end. So I thank you both very much again, and do on with your work. Thank you.